That gray, peeling patch on the subway ceiling directly above your head isn't made of concrete. It is breathing. It has followed you for the last 6 stops, blending perfectly into the industrial decay and the layers of mid-century paint, remaining motionless while you scroll through your phone. It is waiting for the next sharp jolt of the train to press a cold, numbing touch against the back of your neck. You won't jump, and you won't scream. You will simply feel a sudden, refreshing chill, a localized draft in the stagnant air of the underground, unaware that a biological anomaly has just selected you as its source of thermal stability. Millions of commuters pass beneath these hanging shadows every day, never realizing that the structural damage they see overhead might be organic. There is a specific kind of silence that exists deep underground, beneath the screech of steel and the rush of wind through the tunnels. It is in this silence that a different kind of inhabitant has found its niche, evolving alongside the city's expansion, turning the very foundation of the metropolis into its primary hunting ground. The urban environment is often viewed as a sterile landscape of glass and reinforced stone where nature has been pushed to the margins. Yet, observers of urban adaptation have begun to document a phenomenon that defies traditional classification.
I saw something
They
move
call
by
them
the
concrete
access shaft.
echoes. In the hushed circles of veteran transit
Can't stay here,
workers,
they know we're here.
they are known as the earless ones. These are not the winged creatures of the forest or the caves. They are organisms shaped by the subterranean world, creatures that have traded their sight for something far more specialized. In the deep dark of the transit lines, where light is a rare intrusion, eyes are a liability. Instead, these entities have developed a physiological connection to the vibrations of the city itself. They do not perceive the world through light or sound waves, but through the constant, low-frequency rhythm of the earth, the movement of millions of people, the flow of water through pipes, and the heavy thrum of the trains. When you stand on a crowded platform, the ground beneath your feet is never truly still. While humans perceive the vibration of an approaching train as background noise, for the earless ones, it is a map. They do not possess large, delicate ears. Those would be overwhelmed by the high-decibel environment of the tunnels. Instead, their entire skeletal structure has evolved to act as a receiver. They cling to the concrete ceilings of the subway cars and the tunnel arches, their bodies compressed and flattened until they are indistinguishable from a layer of water-damaged masonry or a protrusion of mineral buildup. The camouflage is nearly perfect. To the casual observer, they look like nothing more than a bit of loose insulation or a piece of debris left over from a forgotten construction project. They remain motionless for hours, their heart rates dropping to a near stasis as they wait for the right frequency. They are sensitive to the heat signatures of the crowds below, but more importantly, they are sensitive to the pulse. They can feel the collective heartbeat of a train car through the vibrations transferred from the passengers to the floor, through the walls, and into the ceiling where they hang suspended. There is a particular sensation often reported by late-night commuters, a phenomenon that has long been dismissed as a trick of the air conditioning or the fatigue of a long shift. It starts as a localized chill, a strange cooling sensation on the back of the neck or the shoulder. This is the first stage of the interaction. The creature secretes a specialized enzyme through its contact point, a substance that acts as a powerful localized anesthetic. It numbs the skin instantly, lowering the temperature of the area so the host feels only a faint, icy tingle. As the train lurches between stations, the creature remains tethered. It does not strike with force or aggression. It is a slow, methodical process of extraction. Because the commuter is often distracted by their surroundings, the subtle weight overhead goes unnoticed. Its specialized appendages are designed to tap into the superficial vessels near the surface of the skin with surgical precision. Most people never realize they have been chosen. They simply step off at their stop, feeling a bit more tired than usual, perhaps a bit lightheaded, attributing the sensation to the stress of the city or a lack of sleep. Consider Sarah, a young professional who takes the midnight line 3 times a week. For months, she has noticed a recurring patch of mildew on the ceiling of her favorite car. She even complained to the transit authority, but the inspectors found nothing but solid concrete. Lately, Sarah has been waking up with a heavy fog in her mind, a lethargy that coffee can't fix. She found 3 small, perfectly round, pale marks on her shoulder, cold to the touch even in a hot shower. She assumes it's a nutritional deficiency or the toll of the city. She doesn't realize that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, she is providing the thermal energy required for an organism to survive another week in the dark. The history of these subterranean dwellers is a matter of quiet, intense speculation. Some suggest that these organisms didn't migrate into the tunnels, but rather were trapped there as the city was built over their natural cave systems over a century ago. In the dark, they adapted to the artificial environment. They traded the echoes of the cavern for the echoes of the concrete. Their fur grew coarse and gray, mimicking the texture of cement. Their wings became heavy and muscular, designed for clinging to textured surfaces rather than long-distance flight. They became a part of the infrastructure, an unintended byproduct of the mechanical age. They are the ultimate urban ghosts, existing in the periphery of our vision, flourishing in the spaces we choose to ignore. Maintenance crews have occasionally reported finding soft spots in the tunnel ceilings during routine inspections. A veteran worker named Elias once described an area where the concrete felt strangely warm and yielding to the touch, almost like damp leather. When he applied his scraping tool, the surface didn't crack. It rippled. These reports are often filed away and forgotten, categorized as unusual mold or mineral seepage. However, the consistency of these sightings across different lines suggests a widespread population that has mastered the art of hiding in plain sight. This biological anomaly raises questions about the unseen ecosystems thriving in our modern world. If such a specialized creature can exist in one of the most heavily trafficked areas on Earth without being officially recognized, what else is hiding in the gaps of our perception? The viral spread of this information often centers on the unsettling realization of how vulnerable we are in crowded spaces. We are trained to look around us for threats, to watch the doors and the people sitting across from us. We rarely think to look directly up. In a packed subway car, where every inch of floor space is occupied, the ceiling remains a vast, unmonitored territory. It is a ceiling that we trust to stay solid and inanimate. The idea that it might be populated by living things that view us as a source of energy is a jarring contradiction to our sense of safety. It turns a mundane commute into a calculated risk. The physics of their survival are as fascinating as they are chilling. The vibration of the concrete is their lifeblood. They have learned to distinguish between the vibration of an empty train and one filled with potential. They can sense the approach of a vehicle from miles away, feeling the rhythmic pounding of the wheels through the structural supports of the tunnel. This sensitivity allows them to position themselves perfectly before the doors even open. They are the silent observers of our daily routines, witnesses to a million private moments, hanging just inches away from our heads. The brilliance of their adaptation is that even if you were looking for them, you might not see them. Their bodies are shaped to mimic the cracks, the bolt heads, and the uneven layers of paint that characterize the aging subway system. The sensation of the cool numb has become a mark of mystery for those who frequent the deeper lines of the city. Some urban explorers claim to have captured images of these creatures, but the photos are always ambiguous, a blur of gray, a shadow that looks like a wing, or a patch of ceiling that seems to have shifted between two consecutive frames. These fragments of evidence only fuel the mystery. Without a captured specimen, the scientific community remains skeptical, yet the stories from the tunnels continue to persist. Every time the train jolts, every time a drop of condensation falls from the ceiling, there is a flicker of doubt. Was that just water, or was it something else? As the city grows denser and the transit systems expand further into the earth, the habitat for these creatures only increases. They are a reflection of the urban sprawl, resilient, adaptable, and overlooked. They do not seek to disrupt our world. They simply exist alongside it, taking what they need and remaining invisible. The relationship is not one of conflict, but of a quiet, one-sided symbiosis. We provide the warmth and the circulation, and they provide nothing but an unexplained chill, and a story that most people won't believe. There is even a theory that their presence actually helps maintain the integrity of certain tunnel sections. By occupying the cracks and crevices, their organic matter might prevent some forms of erosion. They prefer stable, old-growth infrastructure, places where the concrete has had decades to settle and vibrate in a predictable pattern. New construction is too loud, too erratic for them. They are creatures of history, tied to the original veins of the city's heart. Think about the last time you felt that sudden, localized draft. The train was crowded, the air was humid, and yet, for a moment, the back of your neck felt like it had been touched by a piece of ice. You probably adjusted your collar, checked the vent above you, and went back to your music. But the vents on those older cars rarely work that well. The draft didn't come from a machine. It came from a living thing adjusting its grip, settling its weight as it prepared to synchronize with your rhythm. It is a slow, silent harvest that happens thousands of times a day, hidden behind the mundane reality of public transportation. The next time you find yourself on a late-night train, when the passengers are few and the overhead lights flicker with the movement of the car, take a moment to look at the ceiling. Don't look for a bat, look for the concrete. Look for the patches that seem slightly thicker than the rest. Look for the areas where the paint has peeled in a way that looks almost like a folded limb. If you feel a sudden, localized coolness on your skin, a refreshing chill that seems out of place, do not be alarmed. It is likely just a draft from the ventilation system, or a drop of moisture from a distant, street-level grate. But as you stand there, swaying with the motion of the train, remember that the city is a living thing. Its bones are made of steel, its skin is made of stone, and its shadows are deeper than we can imagine. The mysteries of the underground aren't always hidden behind locked doors or in abandoned stations. Sometimes, they're hanging right in front of us, waiting for the next vibration, the next pulse, the next train to pull out into the dark. The earless ones are patient. They have all the time in the world, and they are already exactly where they need to be. The concrete echoes remain a testament to the unknown. They remind us that even in our most controlled environments, there are elements beyond our understanding. They challenge the boundary between the natural and the artificial, showing us that life will always find a way to bridge the gap. Whether they are a biological reality or a persistent urban legend, they change the way we look at the world around us.
I'm getting a shot of it right now.
They turn the ceiling into a canopy and the subway into a forest of stone. And as long as the trains keep running and the concrete keeps vibrating, they will be there, silent and still, part of the architecture of the night. In the end, the truth of their existence may not matter as much as the awareness they provoke. They force us to acknowledge the layers of the city that we usually ignore. They make us question the solidity of the world we've built. The subway is more than just a way to get from one point to another. It is an environment with its own rules, its own history, and its own inhabitants. As you exit the station and climb back into the light of the upper world, the memory of that overhead shadow stays with you. You might find yourself checking the ceiling of your office, your hallway, or your bedroom, looking for that same gray, peeling texture. But up there, in the open air, the vibrations are different. The echoes are gone. For now, you are safe. But the city is waiting, and the next commute is only a few hours away. This modern Gothic tale is born from the claustrophobia and the anonymity of city life. It taps into our primal fear of the dark and our sophisticated fear of the industrial. It is a narrative that thrives in the gap between what we see and what we feel. While science may one day provide a definitive answer, for now, the mystery remains suspended above us. The concrete echoes continue to haunt the periphery of the morning rush and the evening wind down, a silent reminder that we are never truly alone, even in the heart of the concrete jungle. Keep your eyes open, but remember that some things are better left unseen, hidden in the gray, vibrating silence of the tunnels. The next time you feel that icy tingle, don't brush it off. Something up there might just be settling in for the ride. The city breathes because we breathe. It moves because we move. We are the fuel for a hidden world that has learned to mirror our architecture. Every crack in the wall, every stain on the tile, and every peeling piece of masonry is a potential hiding place for something that has spent a century learning how to be invisible. We have built a world of light to banish the shadows, but in doing so, we have created the perfect camouflage. In the transit lines of the great metropolis, the dark doesn't always hide the mystery. The light does. It hides in plain sight, masquerading as the very walls we built to protect us. As you step off the platform and head for the stairs, don't look back. The vibration of your footsteps is all it needs to know you were there. It is already waiting for the next train, the next pulse, and the next unsuspecting soul to stand right beneath the peeling gray paint. You might feel a bit lighter as you reach the street level, a bit more exhausted than the length of your trip justifies. You'll blame the stairs, the humidity, or the long day at work. You'll walk into the neon glow of the city streets, leaving the silence of the tunnels behind. But tomorrow, the sun will set again. The trains will hum, the concrete will vibrate, and the shadows on the ceiling will begin to stir. They don't need to hunt you down. They just need you to stand still for a few stops. And in a city of millions, there's always someone standing still, looking down at their phone, waiting for the cold, refreshing touch of the unknown.